And now it's time for my favorite part of the meal, the dessert. It's time to bake the cake. So first things first, we have to preheat the oven. There. Now while that's working, we are going to prepare the pan for which the stuff will go in. We're going to just spray it a little bit with some Pam, and then we're going to add just about a spoonful of flour, and then just kind of shake it around and make sure everything gets coated. This is so the cake doesn't stick. That's good. Now the first thing that we have to do is we have to add together our dry ingredients. So we're going to take 1 1/4 cup of flour. We're going to take off the excess flour with my knife here. Then dump it into this sifter that we're going to be using in a little bit. Now for the 1/4 cup. Now we're going to add 1/2 tablespoon of baking powder. Just use this right here to make sure we have exactly half. And now it's time for 1/2 teaspoon of salt. A little bit too much. Okay, perfect. And now we're going to start to sift it. Just keep sifting it through, make sure it's nice and fine. Perfect. Now we're going to go put this in a separate pile for cleaning later. Now, we're just going to set this aside because now it's time to mix our wet ingredients together. So first we're going to start off with 1/2 cup of butter. Now we're going to make sure that we get all of this out, so I'm going to be using this rubber spatula here. Because if we have too little, it's going to be too dry, the cake. And now we're going to add our 3/4 cups of sugar to it. We're going to use that knife, or I'll just use the sides to scrape it off, make sure it's exactly 1/2 cup. And now 1/4 cup. Scrape it. And now we're going to mix it using this mixer, the electric mixer right here. Now we don't want to put it on too high, otherwise it'll go everywhere. So just medium. Until you start to see just little chunks of butter and sugar. So yeah, just so where you can't see the sugar anymore. Just like that. And now we're gonna crack our 3 eggs that we have right here. Now we're going to open up the garbage and just pop them in there. It's 2. Now we don't want to try to touch anything else while we're doing these eggs, because we don't want to get any of it mixed up. Now I'm going to go wash my hands. Okay, now that my hands are sanitized, we're just going to dump the eggs, all 3 of them. Before I had to make sure that there weren't any extra cracks and stuff inside it, any shells. Just put this again with all the dirty stuff. And then we're going to mix this up, and we're going to mix this for about 3 minutes until it's nice and light colored. Okay, that seems nice and light and perfect. Just like how the cake that we're going to make. So now, it's time to add in a little bit of, about 1/3 of our flour batch, just into it. We want to do just a little bit at a time. And then we're going to go and add some of our milk that we have. Roughly about 1/3 of the milk that we're going to have there too. Okay, here's my 1/2 cup of milk. I have to add in just a little bit, like about 1/3 of it. And we're going to keep the rest to the side for later use. So I mix in the flour and the milk. A little bit like more on like lower speed because we just don't want it to splash anymore. And once that's completely mixed in, which it looks like it is, I'm going to add in about another 1/3 of each. About another 1/3 of this in. And another 1/3 of our milk. Perfect, okay. So now we're going to mix this one. nice and even. Make sure there's no more flour before we add in the last third. So now we're going to add in our final flour, our final milk, and then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla, because it's a vanilla cake, and we need vanilla in vanilla cake. Very steady. We're going to pour that in. Close this. Put all these to the side for cleaning. And then we're going to mix it one last time on low. Okay, so now we are ready to pour our cake batter into the cake pan that we prepared earlier. So now I'm going to use another rubber spatula to make sure that we get all of the cake batter, because we all want to eat it because it's so delicious. Okay, make sure we get all of it. That's the good part about rubber spatulas, is that they're flexible, so you can get all of it out there. Okay, get a little bit left on the side. And put it over here. And now we're going to shake it, make sure it's nice and good. And now we are going to bake it in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Oh, that's the sound of our cake being ready. Let's be careful, because it's going to be really, really hot. Oh, that looks delicious. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to set it on this until it cools down. Otherwise, it's going to be too sticky to the pan before we take it out and start putting icing on it. Now this is what I call a perfect Sunday dinner. You have a nice appetizer, a nice little salad. For your main entree, you have some chicken, you have your steamed beans, and you have your mashed potatoes. And then, finally, to top it all off as a dessert, you have a homemade vanilla cake. Well guys, that's all the time we have for today. I'll see you next time on Cooking with Steven.